It goes beyond the highest star and reaches to the lowest hell. The guilty pair bow down with care. God gave his son to win. His erring child he reconciled, pardoned from his sin. Oh, love of God, how rich and pure, how measureless and strong, it shall forevermore endure the saints and angels' song. Could we but think the oceans fill, and were the skies of parchment made, where every stalk on earth a quill, and every man a scribe by trade, to write the love of God above would drain the ocean dry, nor could the scroll contain the whole, though stretched from sky to sky. The love of God is greater far than tongue or pen can ever tell. It goes beyond the highest star and reaches to the lowest hell. The guilty pair bow down with care. God gave his son to win. His erring child he reconciled, pardoned from his sin. Oh, love of God, how rich and pure, how measureless and strong, it shall forevermore endure the saints and angels' song. It shall forevermore endure the saints and angels' song. Mom was born just prior to the Great Depression, and her family made it, but they often had to live with other families and rent from them, board with them, and they had to do what everybody else had to do to survive. She lived through World War II in high school. She was a part of that great effort to keep the home fires burning and to keep the morale up in the community and to support the effort of the soldiers and the sailors and all of the people that had gone off to war. During all of those years, she was active in the church, teaching, leading, learning, growing, being, building relationships. And that continued through several churches and then the community there at Lakewood. We're all going to miss the unique relationships we had with our mom and you with your friend. As an aunt, and thank you to Paul and Susan for all of the support you've given her through the years. Thank you so much to my brother and my sister. Jan, you have been a rock to her, the grandchildren. All of us here in California, not able to be there, appreciate you. Chaplain Julie, I'm going to miss Mom's weekly uh, review of all of our sermons. You, me, Jim Somerville, and how we approach the text of the day from the lectionary. She had a great mind. She had a curious mind. She was an early adopter of the technologies of the 50s, and the lifestyles, and she had a modern streak in her. And although she wasn't that great with computers, she tackled them head on because they were a gateway to knowledge and a gateway to staying in touch with people she cared about. She opened my heart and my mind to words, to books, to poetry as a writer herself and as a avid reader of good books and great poems. She chose one for today that was a challenge. And we all looked at it and thought, Mom, you've got that twinkle in your eye again. You're playing with us, you're messing with us, you're joking with us. But I have to tell you, as I studied it and I read it, I understood more of why she chose it. So much of a story of life. I think she saw it as maybe a chronicle of her life, all those years, the early struggles, the wonderful years with our dad and with Matt and with all of you and with all of us. It was always full of challenges, but it was also full of promises. The promises of God were very real to her. Faith was very real to her. And she embraced each moment with joy and humor and laughter and music and so many things that I don't have time to talk about. But I think that she must have seen in Sidney Lanier's story and great poem about the Marshes of Glynn, maybe kind of an everyman story. Lanier was born in Georgia, raised in Georgia, but he had roots right here in Virginia from the very first House of Burgesses. During the Civil War, he was conscripted to fight, and he was imprisoned near Richmond. When the war was over and he was released from prison and he's on his way home, he begins to show the symptoms of tuberculosis. And even though he married, he received a law degree, he was recruited by his father to go into law. At one point, he wrote a letter to his dad saying, You know, I just love poetry and music too much to do anything else. He died at 39, but not before he wrote this series reflecting on hope that he saw when he visited the Marshes of Glynn. And so I'm not going to say any more. You can read the eulogy I wrote or talk among yourselves today. Celebrate Mom's life and her victory and the joy she now knows. But listen deeply to the poem. I've spent some hours with it, just trying to understand what it's saying. And one of the things it says is there is great hope in all of the perplexities and in all of the challenges of life that come our way. In the midst of despair, you see bubbling up from the ground a word, a message, and a light of hope that will never die. I wish I could be there with you. All the best. Thanks for gathering to remember Jane Elizabeth Skates, Stims, Tanner, or just Jane, or to us, just Mom. Thank you. Blooms of the live oaks, beautiful, braided and woven with intricate shades of the vines that myriad cloven, clamber the forks of the multiformed boughs, emerald twilights, virginal shylights, wrought of the leaves to allure the whisper of vows. When lovers pace timidly down through the green colonnades of the dim, sweet woods, of the dear, dark woods, of the heavenly woods and glades that run to the radiant marginal sand beach within the wide sea marshes of Glynn. Beautiful glooms, soft dusks in the noonday fire, wildwood privacies, closets of lone desire. Chamber from chamber parted with wavering arras of leaves. Cells for the passionate pleasure of prayer to the soul that grieves. Pure with a sense of the chamber from chamber parted with the wavering arras of leaves. Cells for the passionate pleasure of prayer to the soul that grieves. Pure with the sense of the passing of saints through the wood. Cool for the dutiful weighing of ill with good. O braided dusks of the oak and woven shades of the vine, while the riotous noonday sun of the June day long did shine. Ye held me fast in your heart, and I held you fast in mine. Now when the noon is no more, when riot is rest, and the sun is await at the ponderous gate of the west, and the slant yellow beam down the wood aisle doth seem like a lane into heaven that leads from a dream. Aye, now, when my soul all day hath drunken the soul of the oak, and my heart is at ease from men, and the wearisome sound of the stroke, the seat of time, and the trowel of trade is low, and belief overmasters doubt, and I know that I know, and my spirit is grown to a lordly great compass within, that the length and the breadth and the sweep of the marshes of Glynn will work me no fear like the fear that I have wrought me of yore, when length was fatigue, and when breadth was but bitterness sore, and when terror and shrinking and dreary unmamable pain drew me over out of the merciless miles of the plain. Oh, now, unafraid, I am fain to face the vast, sweet visage of space. To the edge of the wood I am drawn, where the gray beach glimmering runs as a belt of the dawn, for a meet and a mark to the forest dark. So affable live oak leaning low, thus with your favor, soft with a reverent hand, not lightly touching your person, Lord of the land, bending your beauty aside, with a step I stand on the firm packed sand, free by a word of marsh that borders a world of sea. Sinuous southward and sinuous northward, the shimmering band of the sand beach fastens the fringe of the marsh to the folds of the land. Inward and outward, to northward and southward, the beach lines linger and curl, as silver-wrought garment that clings to and follows the firm, sweet limbs of a girl, vanishing, swerving, evermore curving again into sight. Softly the sand beach wavers away to a dim gray looping of light, and what if behind me, to westward, the wall of the woods stands high? The world lies east, how ample the marsh and the sea and the sky. A league and a league of marsh grass waist high, broad in the blade, green and all of a height and unflecked with the light or a shade, stretch leisurely off in a pleasant plain to the terminal blue of the main. Oh, what is broad in the marsh and the terminal sea? Somehow my soul seems suddenly free from the weighing of fate and the sad discussion of sin by the length and the breadth and the weep of the marshes of Glynn. Ye marshes, how candid and simple and nothing withholding and free ye publish yourselves to the sky and offer yourselves to the sea. Tolerant plains that suffer the sea and the rains and the sun, ye spread and span like the Catholic man who mightily won God out of knowledge and good out of infinite pain, and sight out of blindness and purity out of a stain. As the marsh hen secretly builds on the watery sod, behold, I will build me a nest on the greatness of God. I will fly in the greatness of God as the marsh hen flies, in the freedom that fills all the space twixt the marsh and the skies, by so many roots as the marsh grass thins in the sod. I will heartily lay me a hold on the greatness of God. Oh, like to the greatness of God is the greatness within the range of the marshes, the liberal marshes of Glynn, and the sea lends large as the marsh. Lo, out of his plenty the sea pours fast. Full soon the time of the flood tide must be. Look how the grace of the sea doth go about and about through the intricate channels that flow here and there and everywhere, till his waters have flooded the uttermost creeks and the low-lying lanes, and the marsh is meshed with a million veins, like as with rosy and silvery essences flow in the rose and silver evening glow. Farewell, my Lord, Sun. The creeks overflow, 1,000 rivulets run twixt the roots of the sun, and the blades of the marsh grass stir. Passeth a hurrying sound of wings that westward whir, passeth, and all is still, and the currents cease to run, and the sea and the marsh are one. How still the plains of the waters be! The tide is in its ecstasy, the tide is at its highest height, and it is night. And now from the vast of the Lord will the waters of sleep roll in on the souls of men, but who will reveal to our waking ken forms that swim, and the shades that creep under the waters of sleep? And I would I could know what swimmeth below when the tide comes in, on the length and the breadth and the marvelous marshes of Glynn.